So far, we have identified the beast that rises up out of the sea in Revelation chapter 13 as the papacy of the Roman Catholic Church. However, the Roman Catholic Church is not the only power in this prophecy. John speaks of another beast. He wrote, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and spake as a dragon." And the role of this second beast is then stated, "And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed." This second beast, when it comes on the scene, is to cause the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, which is the Roman Catholic Church. The word cause means to force or compel. So the second beast will force the inhabitants of earth to worship the Roman Catholic Church. And since obedience itself is a form of worship, the phrase "to worship the first beast" tells us the second beast or nation, whoever it is, will use its power to force all the inhabitants of earth to obey the decrees of the Roman Catholic Church. But the prophecy gives us more light on how this will happen. Just as it causeth the earth to worship the first beast, we read in verse 16, "He causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads." The word causeth links these two verses together, showing us the way the second beast causes the earth to worship the first beast is by forcing the world to receive its mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. So this second beast will force the inhabitants of earth to worship the Roman Catholic Church by a law enforcing the observance of Sunday, the sign of the Church's authority, the mark of the beast. Only a nation with a lot of power and influence would be able to accomplish such a thing. So let's now identify the second beast that will cause the world to worship or obey the papacy of the Roman Catholic Church. And part of the key to identifying the second beast's power is looking at where these beasts came from. Remember that regarding the first beast, John wrote how he saw a beast rise up out of the sea. Therefore, the woman John saw sitting on the beast he described in chapter 17 as the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Then John defines the symbol of the sea and the waters for us, saying, "The waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues." So the prophecy is telling us that the Antichrist power representing the Roman Catholic Church system would arise in a populated area with lots of people. And that it did, as it rose to power in Rome, which was the heart of the then known world. So what about the second beast that rises from the earth? If the sea or multitude of water represents a populated area, then the earth or land would represent a desolate or largely uninhabited area. In other words, the second beast, like the first, is a nation or kingdom. But rather than coming to power in a populated area or by conquest, this nation rises up in a remote area by itself. Now, with regard to the first beast, we already saw of this first beast representing the Roman Catholic Church that it would reign for 42 months. We read, "Power was given unto him to continue 42 months." And since the Bible defines a day in prophecy to be equivalent to 1 literal year, in Numbers 14:34 and Ezekiel 4:6, saying, "I've appointed thee each day for a year," then this 42-month period that began in 538 AD with the Pope's assumption of the civil power of Rome would last 1,260 years, ending in 1798, when Napoleon's general took the Pope captive. And with this, the power that was given to the first beast was ended. But John then wrote, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon." If the power of the first beast ended in 1798, and another beast is now coming upon the scene, we should expect it to rise to power in a remote area about the same time, around 1798. In the notes from his own Bible, John Wesley wrote in 1754 about this second beast, "He has not yet come, though he cannot be far off, for he is to appear at the end of the 42 months of the first beast." This second beast is described in the prophecy as having 2 horns like a lamb. Throughout the Bible, and especially the book of Revelation, the lamb is to denote the meekness, gentleness, and purity of the character of Christ. Peter wrote of the precious blood of Christ as of a lamb without blemish and without spot. The second beast, when it rises to power, is a lamb-like or Christ-like beast. But the prophecy also warns that eventually, at some point, it will speak like a dragon. Who is this second beast or nation that appears with Christian principles and rises to power in a remote and uninhabited area? In a book titled The New World Compared with the Old, the author wrote on page 462, "Since America was discovered, she has been a subject of revolutionary thought in Europe. The mystery of her coming forth from vacancy, the marvel of her wealth in gold and silver, the spectacle of her captives led through European capitals, filled the minds of men with unrest." The second beast that rose to power in a remote area around 1798 is without a doubt the United States of America, that signed its Declaration of Independence on July 4, 1776, and has become the most powerful and influential nation and civil authority on the earth to this day. Next to the Roman Catholic Church, which is considered to be the world's most authoritative moral authority on earth. The United States of America and the Roman Catholic Church have enjoyed a very cozy relationship in the last 100 years, and according to the 2,000-year-old Bible prophecies, these will be the 2 of the leading powers in the enforcement of the mark of the beast upon the world.
Certainly no one can speak with greater force to our own generation than you yourself.
But all Americans are grateful to the Catholics of this country for the standards they have set.
You said famously, when you looked into Vladimir Putin's eyes, you saw his soul.
Yeah.
When you look into Benedict XVI's eyes, what do you see?
God.
Holy Father, we thank you and welcome you with joy and gratitude to the United States of America.
My administration will stand side by side with the American Catholics to promote the values we all share as Christians and Americans.
We'll look at the encyclical on climate change. It's all about, we have responsibilities.
Mr. Speaker, the Pope of the Holy See.
Now, we have so far identified the 2 beasts in the 13th chapter of Revelation that will be involved in the Mark of the Beast crisis. We have identified the first beast as the Roman Catholic Church system, and the second beast as the United States of America. The Roman Catholic Church will use its moral authority and influence to promote a counterfeit Sabbath day of worship, the Mark of the Beast. And the United States of America will use its civil power and influence to force all upon the earth to adhere to this law honoring Sunday, and in this way will fulfill the prophecy, causing the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast by receiving its mark. But now we need to consider the third and final major power in this prophecy that will bring about the mark of the beast, and that is what John called the image of the beast. An image of something is a replication of it, like an image in a mirror. The image you see of yourself in the mirror is not you, but it is a representation of you. And the same is true of the image of the beast. It is a similar representation or a replica of the beast. In this case, the 2 most significant characteristics of the beast power is that it is both a church and state power, and that it uses the civil power of its government to enforce its religious mandates. This could not be more clearly demonstrated than by the more than 100 million victims tortured and killed by the Papal Church for more than 1,000 years, if they would not surrender their conscience to the doctrines of the Pope. But now, in the modern era, the second beast is seen by John, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, that is, a church and state power in the new world, similar to that which shed the blood of Christians for a millennia in the old world. Even now, the Christian influence in the policies and practices of the United States government is rapidly increasing, with the president surrounding himself with a multitude